Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you are watching this video, there is a good chance you are either planning to take the ServiceNow CS exam or you already booked it. Now you are figuring out how to actually prepare for it properly. The CSA Certified System Administrator certification is the entry point into the entire ServiceNow ecosystem. Once you clear this exam, a lot of opportunities start opening up. Whether that's admin roles, developer role, consulting, or even moving deeper into platform later on. And the good news is, the exam is absolutely passable if you study the right things in the right order. So in this video, I am going to walk you through the complete official 2026 blueprint and explain what actually matters. Alright, before we jump into the blueprint itself, let's quickly understand what CS exam look like. The exam contains 60 multiple choice questions and you will have 90 minutes to complete it. The passing score is 70%, which means you need roughly 42 correct answers out of 60 to pass. The exam fee is $300 and the certification is administered through Person View. You can either take it online from home or at an authorized test center. Personally, I prefer taking certification exam at a test center because there usually less risk of technical interruption or online proctoring issues during the exam. Now, one important thing about the CSA, this is just not a theory exam. ServiceNow wants to see whether you actually understand how to work inside a live instance. That's why a hands-on practice is such a huge part of preparation. Later in video, I'll show you exactly how to approach that. The exam itself is divided into 6 domains and each domain carries different weightage, and understanding those weightage is extremely important because not all topics deserve equal study time. This right here is the official 2026 CSA exam blueprint. Now honestly, this slide alone already tells you how you would plan for your preparation. If you look closely, Domain 1 and 2 are relatively lighter section, platform overview at 7% and instance configuration at 10%. They are important foundational topics, but they won't dominate your exam. Now Domain 3 and 4, where the things start becoming more significant, configuring application for collaboration, self-service and automation each carry 20% weightage. Together that's already 40% of your entire exam. But the real heavyweight here is Domain 5, the database management and platform security, sitting at 30%. That's nearly 1/3 of your entire certification exam. So if you are wondering where the most people either pass confidently or struggle badly, it's usually this domain. And finally, Domain 6, data migration and integration. This makes up remaining 30%. Now I really want you to remember this. The blueprint is not just information, it is your study priority list. A lot of people make the mistake of studying every domain equally. That's inefficient. We'll start with each domain one by one. So let's start with Domain 1, platform overview and navigation. This is the lighter section of the exam, carrying 7% weightage, so you'll see around 4 questions from this area. The focus here is understanding ServiceNow at a high level. What exactly is the problem? What problem does it solve? What are its core capabilities? You should understand that ServiceNow is a cloud-based platform used to manage digital workflows across different business functions like IT, HR, customer service, security operations and more. Another important concept here is ServiceNow instance. An instance is basically your dedicated environment running on the ServiceNow platform, your own space where the application and data configuration exist. So yeah, and you'll also want to be familiar with Next Experience Unified Navigation, sometimes called Next Experience. So this is the modern ServiceNow interface. You should have the knowledge about the major navigation components, things like application navigator, tabs, workspace, and how user move through the platform. My advice for Domain 1 is simple. Don't overstudy it. Moving forward to Domain 2, which is instance configuration. This is where preparations start becoming more hands-on. This section focuses on understanding how a ServiceNow instance is configured, customized, and managed. Some of the major topics here include plugin, user interfaces, and instance level configuration. Now for plugins specifically, make sure you understand what they actually do. In ServiceNow, plugin extend platform functionality. They're essentially a feature package that can be activated when additional capabilities are needed, and you should know where plugins are managed, how they are activated, and what impact they can have on instance. Personalization affects the individual user experience, things like rearranging columns or adjusting preferences. Administration affects the platform globally for all users, and the distinction shows up surprisingly often in the exam. My biggest recommendation for this domain is simple. Get a personal developer instance, a PDI, as early as possible. You can get one for free from ServiceNow Developer portal, and honestly, even 30 minutes of hands-on practice teaches more than hours of passive reading. Moving forward to domain 3, configuring application for collaboration, which carries 20% of the total exam weightage. So this is definitely a domain you want to spend more time on. Let's go through the major topics. First, list, filters and tags. ServiceNow relies heavily on lists, so make sure you understand how to personalize list layout, sort record, apply filters, and use filter condition properly. You should also understand filter breadcrumbs and how to save filters. Next is list and form anatomy. List displays multiple record, form displays a single record in details. So you should know the major components of form like header, fields, related list, section, and contextual menu. This section becomes much easier once you actually spend time navigating around your PDI. Now, one of the most important areas in this domain is form configuration. Understand how forms are customized, how fields are added or organized, and how templates can pre-populate data. Make sure you know the difference between record action like save, update, insert, and insert stay. These small platform behaviors show up often in CSA exam. Another important topic is task management and VTBs. ServiceNow is fundamentally task driven, so you should understand how tasks move through workflows, how assignment works, and what VTB are used for. Think of Visual Task Board as Kanban style task management interface. Then we have dashboard reports and platform analytics. You don't need advanced reporting knowledge for CSA, but you should understand the purpose of dashboard and how reports visualize the data, the basic idea behind performance analytic. And finally comes the notification. Know how notifications are triggered, what condition control them, and the difference between email notification and in-platform notification. The recommendation for domain 3 is to practice form configuration filters repeatedly inside your PDI. So once you physically use these features a few times, the questions become much easier to recognize during the exam. Now we'll move forward to the next domain, self-service and automation. This is another major section worth 20% of the exam. This domain focuses on ServiceNow improves the user experience and automates the business process. Let's break it down. First is knowledge management. ServiceNow includes a built-in knowledge base where organization can create, organize and publish articles. For the exam, understand the structure, knowledge base, categories and articles. You should also know the life cycle of an article, which is draft, publish, retire, and how user access knowledge content through the portals. Next is service catalog. This is one of the most heavily tested topics in the entire CS exam. Service catalog allows user to request services, devices, access or business offering through structured catalog item, and you need to clearly understand catalog item, record producer, variables and order guides. More importantly, understand the difference between them. The distinction appear regularly in the exam. Next comes Flow Designer. This is ServiceNow modern automation platform. Understand how flow work, what triggers them, and the difference between flow, subflows, and action. You don't need advanced automation skills for CSA, but you should absolutely understand how a simple flow is structured and executed. Also remember, Flow Designer is the modern replacement for the older workflow editor and the exam reflects that transition. Finally, agent. Virtual agent is ServiceNow chatbot and conversational AI platform. For the exam, understand this conceptually. Topic defined conversation, NLU, which helps interpret user intent, and the conversation designer is used to build the interaction. You won't need deep chatbot implementation knowledge, just a strong conceptual understanding. Domain 4 advice would be spend extra time on service catalog and flow designer. Create a simple catalog item in your PDI. Build one basic flow. That's hands-on experience will help far more than passive reading. Coming to the next domain, domain 5. This is the domain I need you to pay a very close attention to. Domain 5 alone accounts for 30% of the entire CSA exam. That's around 18 questions out of 60. So, statistically speaking, this domain has the biggest influence on whether you pass or fail. And honestly, this is also the section where you understand how ServiceNow actually works, start getting tested more seriously. So if domain 1 and 2 are the foundation, domain 5 is the core architecture. So don't rush through this section while studying, take your time with it. Moving on to domain 6, data migration and integration. This domain carries 13% of the exam, focuses on how configuration, script and platform behaviors are managed across ServiceNow instance. First, UI policies. UI policies control how fields behave on forms. They can make field mandatory, read-only or visible based on specific condition. The important thing to remember is UI policy run on the client side directly in the user browser. That distinction matters for the exam. Now compare that with business rule. Business rule run on the server side and execute when records are queried, inserted, updated, deleted or displayed. You should understand the major execution timing before, after, async and display. One of the most common CSA question is understanding when to use UI policy versus business rule. So make sure that difference is crystal clear. Next is system update set. This is one of the highest priority topics in this domain. When you configure something in ServiceNow, like form, field, business rule, flow, script, those configurations need to move between instances. That's exactly what update sets are used for. You should understand the complete life cycle. Create an update set, make it current, capture the change, retrieve it into another instance and commit it. This workflow appears very frequently in exam question. Finally, scripting basic. You don't need advanced JavaScript knowledge for CSA, but you should understand glide record at a basic level. Glide record is ServiceNow API used to interact with database table. So know the general process. Initialize the query, add condition, then executing the query and iterate through the results. Domain 6 takeaway will be mastering update set, understanding the difference between client side and server side logic. These two concepts alone can help you answer a large portion of question from this domain. Okay, now ending this video, the CSA is very achievable certification. People clear this exam every single day, including people with no prior ServiceNow experience. The difference usually isn't intelligence, it's the preparation strategy. The people who pass are the ones who focus on right domain, spend time practicing inside a real instance and understand the platform instead of trying to memorize random answer. Now you are already having the roadmap, you know the blueprint, you know the priorities areas and you know how to approach your preparation properly. So take it one domain at a time, stay consistent and you will be in a very strong position to clear the exam. If you like, I can also make a full CSA 4-week study plan, a hands-on PDI practice videos, top CSA interview questions or a complete mock exam walkthrough series. If that sounds useful, let me know in the comments. Good luck with your preparation. I'll see you in the next one.